Hey guys, welcome back to another video for Booktober, and for those of you who don't know what Booktober is about, Booktober is a challenge series thing that I'm doing for the month of October, where for every day of October, I read something that's either like spooky or mystery or dark academia, anything that really fits the autumn vibe, the October vibe. I really am trying to go for that. So for today's Booktober selection, I decided to talk about Maybird by Jodi Lynn Anderson. And for those of you who don't know what Maybird is, trust me, you're not the only ones. I asked some of my other friends about it, like how did they read the book, how did they like it, etc. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I realized then that like not all experiences are universal, because y'all can have time to read Harry Potter but not Maybird. Maybird is about the titular character Maybird, and she is not like the other girls, as in like she is just ugly looking, I guess. Not exactly ugly looking, but nothing about her is really kempt like them. Like it's not the same look, I guess. Like her hair is just too wild. Her eyes are really big. She is also a loner. Like she's not exactly good at speaking to people, etc., etc. She likes to go adventure out in the woods and play in the woods, and what kind of kid does that, etc., etc. So the kids at school are mean to her. They don't invite her to things, and they definitely don't pick her first for volleyball or dodgeball or whatever. And the only friend she really has is her pet cat named, well, he's not exactly a pet per se. She just calls him my cat. And like she's kind of adopted him unofficially in that way. But it's her cat, Somber Kitty. Yep. Her cat's name is Somber Kitty. The book starts off with, like Maybird's mom, Ellen Bird, being like, May, you should try to like be normal or whatever. And May being like, I don't care about normal, I guess. Like she's like, I know I'm not normal. Like I know that I'm different from the other kids, but like, are you embarrassed by it? Like, are you ashamed of me? Like I ain't ashamed. Or like I can't change who I am, etc., etc. And she runs off into the woods, right? And Somber Kitty is like behind her, and she's like, oh, hey, Somber Kitty. And they're in the woods, and she sees this lake in the woods, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's a lake. And it glows, and next thing you know, she's transported to this place called the Ever After, which is where dead people go. Like this is a place for spirits and stuff like that, for the dead. And not just spirits or anything. It's not just an underworld per se, because it's also got like creatures in this place as well. Like there's this one dude who is a pumpkin head. Like he's never been born technically, but he's got like a pumpkin head with a little light inside and stuff like that. And he walks around. His name is Pumpkin, by the way. Yes. And there's these other creatures, I guess, and one of the other creatures is the Boogie. Yes, that Boogie, the Boogeyman, but they call him the Boogie. And he walks around, and he's kind of the right-hand man-esque, like security guard type beat for this guy who runs not the whole of Ever After, I don't think. Maybe he does, honestly. I just know that he's in the city of like in like Ether and all that and stuff like that. But he runs the place, I guess. Like, oh yeah. Okay, he runs the place. His name is Bo Cleevil, and sometimes he's called Evil Bo Cleevil. And something you'll notice about this book very quickly from the get-go is that it's very much not serious at all. Like it does not take itself seriously, and neither should you. But then like it's what's so crazy is that it doesn't take itself seriously, but then like there are out-of-pocket scenes, out-of-pocket moments that just take you out, and you're just like, wait, I know I'm not supposed to take this seriously. I know that I'm just supposed to be like, sit back, just read and stuff like that, right? However, why am I expected to act like this just happened and we move on and stuff like that? Like, that was super out of pocket. Like, run that back. And in that way, I guess like the book and the series in general, because I'm gonna be reviewing the second one tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. The series in general acts like it's a children's book. It acts like it's a middle grade book, which I guess it is, technically it is, but at the same time, there are moments in this book that are super wild that I'm like, should a kid be reading this? If you're a cool adult with your kid reading about gore and death and just general human nastiness, I guess. Not exactly human nastiness, but just like the way that like people betray people, people hurt people, etc., etc. Then like, yeah, no, this is okay. I more than okay. I actually really did enjoy this book. It was giving me like Coraline vibes, but as Coraline as in the movie, not the book, but like Coraline vibes / Dark Alice in Wonderland / a series of unfortunate events. And here's the reason why. I say all this and you're just like, wow, that sounds hype. And then you read it and you're just like, she lied to me. I'm sorry. This is just how I read it and this is how I felt, because first of all, it gave me Coraline vibes because of the way that Maybird is like, I just want to be in a world where I'm not the odd one out, you know? I just want to be like in a world where I'm like not the weirdest thing out there. And she definitely goes to another world through a portal and stuff like that. But again, like the other world is probably not better because it's the dead. But also, if I guess like the dead, the ever after world feels more vivid to me because of the way that like the details of everything and the way that there's like all these niche little shops, all these kitschy titles and names, and like there's like telegrams, but like it's called telegrams and stuff because it's like with your mind and stuff, which is so cool and stuff. Like there's like so many different things that are, I guess, interesting in terms of world building, that it reminded me of the other world in Coraline, and in the way that whenever Coraline does step into that other world, it seems more vibrant than her world, which is what I first initially thought of when I read this book. And then as I went on reading this book, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is like Dark Alice in Wonderland because of the way that it has all these, again, different creatures, different types of people who died and stuff like that. There are so many places in Ever After because of the fact that Ever After is based in the stars. So it's there. And it's also something because it's like Maybird the entire time is trying to get home. She wants to leave. She wants to go home because of the fact that she is living in the land of the dead. Like, she is alive. She is well. Along with Somber Kitty. Somber Kitty ended up with her too. So like they're both alive, like a live girl and like her cat and stuff like that. Like they're both alive and they're in the land of the dead, which is bad because evil Bo Cleevil is like, as the ruler of Ever After and kind of the numbers man, the accountant of the dead, he's kind of like, okay, they shouldn't be here. If they're here, I'm gonna banish them. If I catch you, Ricky, when I catch you, Ricky, I'm going to banish them to the darkest part of Ever After, where like nobody wants to go, where there is no hopes of escape. It's called the South Place, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for real. And especially when he heard that like Maybird had with her Somber Kitty, like the fact that she brought a cat as well, he hates that because of the fact that he hates animals. He has banished animals from Ever After except for his hunting dogs that like sniff out the living, I guess. And well, he uses them to sniff out like Maybird and stuff like that, and like he follows their trail every time he follows after them. He tries to find them, catch them, etc. So it's so cool. It would be very children's book of them to characterize like the villain being like, I hate cats, like, and like he has dogs and stuff like that. That's just, I thought that was a fun little detail, not gonna lie. And in terms of a series of unfortunate events, this book reminded me of that again because of the way that it is like supposed to be for middle grade like kids, I guess. It's supposed to be marketed in that way. However, if you read this book, you'll realize that there are some, not adult as in like rated R or anything like that, but like it's almost not kid friendly. I will say, like, there are ghosts and spirits, obviously, that are like beheaded or died very gruesomely, or had some wrong performed against them and stuff like that. And the way that the characters also interact amongst themselves feels almost adult to me, I guess, because of the way, well, not adult as in like I'm so mature, blah blah blah, but in the way that it's very like cut and dry and blunt. Like Maybird doesn't beat around the bush. I will say she says what she has to say. I guess that aspect of her is very childlike because she does not care if she hurts anybody's feelings or anything like that. She's super honest about what she's thinking, and the way that the other characters also match her energy is something to be said about that. They don't call her out on it or anything. They're not like, oh, that was really messed up of you, or blah blah blah, or like, oh, that was not the thing to say, or whatever. They just hear what she says and then they're like, okay, yeah, no, I'm gonna right back at you. And so I guess like it can be childish in the way that like Maybird again like talks like a kid, and the way kids don't care about the impact their words leave, but it feels adult in the way that nobody calls her out on it, and it feels more like a story stylization, I guess. It feels more like a choice for dialogue rather than the fact that she's a kid and so therefore she doesn't know what she should and should not say. So what did I think about this book? I loved it because of the way that I was not expecting to love it so much. I was not expecting myself to actually like going into this. I saw the cover and I was like, promising, but again, like, how good can it possibly be? And it was pretty good. I really liked it, and I really like it for this time of the month because again, like, it's about the dead, obviously, and the way that this author builds up the world of Ever After, the way that the author like talks about this world with like changing rules, and changing rules as in like I guess because of the fact that there are so many creatures that live in this world, and the fact that like there are so many not niche, but I guess themed little things throughout the underworld. Like there's like a beehive beekeeper type of like place. There's like a place for Egyptians, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's like an old Egyptian-esque inspired thing, and like they were able to make it out of there because of the fact that cats were worshipped in ancient Egypt. And Somber Kitty showed up and they were like, oh my gosh, wait, a god. And it's like, that's like the different things in this world. Like there was this one scene, I guess, this one conflict with these dead pirates, and the way that like if you get hit by their seawater, you end up in the south place and stuff like that. You end up banished like immediate, I guess. Like it's many different little details that are super specific to the world, and also feels like it's constantly changing because of the world getting bigger and bigger in your eyes. And so that's why I also felt like it was Alice in Wonderland. But yeah, I enjoyed that aspect of the world building. I enjoyed that aspect of the setting, and I feel like that aspect also lent to the spooky air, I guess. Like it felt, I know it's not like supposed to be Halloween exactly, but it felt so like it leaned towards Halloween so much that like it was almost camp. You know what I'm saying? Like how in Hocus Pocus and stuff like that, you have all these elements that are like super Halloween themed and stuff like that. You have all these elements that are targeted specifically for spooky season and all that. And like when the actual witches show up, everybody's just kind of like, okay, cool, because they think it's a costume and everything, and they're like, yeah, no, like join us and stuff like that. And it's because everybody like else is dressed to the nines, I guess. Like they're really into the whole Halloween thing. So the actual paranormal, the actual supernatural don't look out of place in that. And so like that is how I felt about Maybird, and the way that like her whole surroundings felt super Halloween centric. Even though this book isn't really supposed to be for Halloween exactly, it felt like it was just so overt that it was almost outlandish, like camp, but it works with the realms of the ever after. As for everything else, I don't want to spoil what the plot is actually, because I actually want you to read this. Like, yeah, sometimes I'll spoil a plot to you if I want to rant about it, etc. But like, this one is actually a good book, and I highly recommend it, and I think you should read it. So I'm not going to say anything from here on out, but I'm just going to say it's a good book. And I think like, even though it's marketed as a middle grade book, anybody really can read it because of the fact that like it employs this cut and dry sense of humor. Again, like the bluntness of everything, the way that they will say something super ridiculous and then just expect you to like go with it, etc. Like some parts, yeah, it's a little bit childish and you're just like, okay. But it's, I guess, admirable the way that the author incorporates those childish elements, because it kind of like drops that little bomb of like, I'm gonna be childish here, and then just keeps walking. Like it doesn't actually linger on the joke or like try to explain the joke or anything like that. It just like does something stupid, and then it's like, okay, well, anyways, it expects you to move on. I guess it expects you to accept it as like a rule of the world, as an aspect of the world that you're just learning now. So I think when it comes to that, I think really anybody could read it. And honestly, it doesn't really, like the book itself doesn't employ too hard of like details or grammatics or anything like that. It's just, it's easy to read, but it's also super entertaining because of the way that like everything is described in the world, etc. Like it doesn't read like something an elementary school student would read, I guess. So yeah, that's my review of Maybird, and tune in next time for part 2 of Maybird.